Welcome back, everyone, to Making the Grade podcast. I'm Georgia, and I don't have my co-host tonight, but I am really excited anyways because I have someone else who knows me really well. Maybe as well as Christine, maybe better. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Christine knows me really, really well, but we're joined tonight by my husband, Sergey Kuperman. Thanks, Sergey, for being here.
Of course.
Sergey is not just my husband, and I know a lot about him. Sergey is the co-founder of deVINE Wellness, which is a Boston-based wellness brand and apothecary. He was born and raised in Massachusetts North Shore, and he's always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Ever since I met him, actually, he's the one who gave me my entrepreneurial spirit, I think. And he's always had a passion for building businesses, solving problems. Tonight, we're going to chat about Sergey's journey as a business owner, strategies that help him stay focused individually and also help him lead his team, and how his habits and systems have shifted in his work and his life since becoming a husband and most recently a dad 16 months ago. So, really glad you're here tonight. It is Tuesday night. It's almost 9 p.m. It's almost my bedtime. We're recording in our bedroom because our daughter is sleeping. We don't want to wake her, so we're as far away from her as possible right now. We are joined by our first baby, our dog Kona. She's asleep on the ground. And yeah, we're going to make this quick and fun. And is this your first podcast you've ever been on, Sergey?
This is definitely my first podcast.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm glad it's with me. I think I'd actually be really sad if you went on another podcast first. So thanks for being here. And yeah, let's just start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about how did you end up becoming an entrepreneur? Was that kind of always your plan, or was there like a moment, a defining moment that pushed you to be like, okay, I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to work for myself?
Yeah, so I think I always had like a creative outlook
Mhm.
on things. I like art, I like to draw, even though I don't do it every day. I see myself as leaning more towards like the creative side of the brain. I enjoy that. Out of college, obviously, I did what everybody tries to do and just get any job. And then as you move through your first job to your second job, you're just basically trying to find something that you like that you can make more and more money doing.
Mhm.
So my career started in sales. I sold cars for a while, which was pretty much a nightmare. Open every day, long hours, little pay unless you're the golden boy at the dealership that gets all the good leads, and I was brand new, so that wasn't me. I basically got stuck going to pick up cars in random places, and I realized that that took my time away from the actual selling floor, and didn't allow me to sell many cars. I did that for a couple years. It did get a little bit better towards the end, and then I moved into software sales. Some of my friends were doing that. That was definitely more enjoyable, had more, benefits, like-minded individuals on the team, and definitely more earning opportunity. As you know, the whole world is turning into software, and
Sure.
yeah, software is eating the world, and companies have money to spend on it. It's essential, and that was definitely a good career shift for me that I feel like broadened my horizons a little bit. I learned a lot. I did that for about 7 years or so, and in the meantime, I was kind of a recreational cannabis user. I enjoyed it, and I always thought about, at that time, there had been dispensaries in other parts of the country, not Massachusetts yet, and I kind of thought that it would happen in Massachusetts eventually. And during my software career, I was just looking for, alternative ways to potentially get out and start a business. Maybe about 7 years in, I started a CBD business called Wave Hemp.
I want to interject for a second because this is a fun fact. That's how we met. We met by chance. We ran into each other with one of your friends, but we started talking because you started mentioning that you were starting a business, which is Wave Hemp. So
That's right.
we connected on that, and I had kind of been thinking in my mind that I wanted to leave my teaching job and start my own thing. So as soon as you told me you were doing that, I thought, wow, this is a person that I want to talk to more. And we talked more and, here we are now. But I just thought that was, when you mentioned that, that was fun. So yeah, the business you own now is not your first business. You started one prior to that.
Correct, yeah. And the other one was definitely more of a learning experience. It was a little bit more ad hoc, but whatever, you were thinking up at the time, we definitely aligned on a lot of the things we were interested in and interested in terms of like helping people with wellness, whether that's physical or mental well-being. A lot of people think that they go hand in hand and they do. So first one was Wave Hemp. It was mostly BD topicals. We had some pet products. I started learning a lot about how cannabis and CBD interacts with the body and how all humans and animals have a endocannabinoid system,
Hmm.
nerdy word. And we have receptors for these things and they actually regulate our bodies and keep everything in balance,
Hmm.
also known as homeostasis, which is another fancy word for how your body reacts to stress or sickness
Hmm.
in response to things like that. So Wave Hemp was the first venture. It ended up going into the hands of one of our partners who took the company a little bit further and he was actually able to sell it, which is
Hmm.
great to, I won't name the company, but they have multiple dispensaries on the North Shore. And then he started his own thing. Currently my business partner and I, we wanted to kind of expand on the hemp wellness and start offering not only that, but other wellness, lifestyle wellness products because we saw that just being a huge trend.
Hmm.
People being more mindful about what they put into their body, what they eat, what they use before exercising, after exercising, what they use in like their self-care routines. We saw that mostly starting like on the West Coast. I feel like a lot of times things like start in California, then they slowly move to New York and then Boston when we wanted to kind of hop on that wellness train and
Hmm.
build a brand, which is now known as deVINE Wellness. Yeah, we've been doing that for about 7 years now.
Cool. Yeah. You have two stores. You have one in Boston, like a physical location, which is, I feel like you're maybe the first person we've had on the podcast and person we've coached. I'll put in quotations because I haven't actually coached you. I've just given you some tips and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, first person to actually have like a brick and mortar location. You've got one in Boston, a new one in Worcester, which is really cool.
Yep,
And then you also have an online store so people anywhere can purchase from there, right? So that's
exactly.
cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just to piggyback on that a little bit, the Boston store was sort of our flagship store.
Mhm.
Obviously, big population, kind of the right target market for us.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's been in Southie for about 7 years. That is a pretty, pretty well-rounded store in terms of like the array of products we carry. It started out as, wellness products and CBD, hemp and cannabis related products. And then we sort of molded into a little bit more than that, being kind of an alcohol alternative store
Mhm.
because we also saw a big shift in, things like non-alcoholic beer. People were looking for ways to deal with maybe social anxiety or get a fun buzz when they're out or even, at home with their friends or roommates.
Or even
With
be more focused. I feel like people are
sure.
looking for,
Yeah, energy,
yeah.
focus. People just want to feel better,
Mhm.
right? And they don't necessarily want to feel better for a few hours at the expense of feeling like crap in the morning.
Mhm.
And we started to seek out other like-minded brands that are putting out products that help people feel better, whether that's more social, less stressed out, sleepy at night if they want to get good rest and being able to consume things that are actually a little bit better for you, not harmful to the body, and along with that, just recreational products, things that you might take when you go to a concert
Mhm.
or comedy show where you want to get a little buzz and feel goofy and have fun, but you don't want to, be hungover the next day, essentially.
It's cool. Like, I feel like I've obviously had a front row seat to watching the brand evolve because I've been there the whole time. So, as you're talking, it's reminding me the journey and how cool it's been to watch you guys grow. I wanted to talk a little bit about how being a business owner, I think when you get into it, you think I'm gonna have so much free time and freedom. I'm leaving the 9 to 5. However, that is definitely not the case in the beginning when you're grinding and getting things going and everything. And so I think that's a myth that a lot of people maybe come into the entrepreneurial world thinking, oh, I'm gonna have so much free time and make my own schedule. And yes, that's true, but you have to be really good at making your own schedule, or you could burn out really fast and be really stressed out. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about maybe how you structure your day as a business owner, and is it the same as when you first started out? Is it different? And just talk about that a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. So I feel like the business has evolved and grown,
Hmm.
and within that, so have kind of the roles of the people that are participating in its growth. So like you mentioned, we have the Boston store, the Worcester store, uh, a website for both of those. And then we have a warehouse in Maine for which we do wholesale to other stores, wholesalers, distributors, and B2C customers out of. So multiple facets in the business. It didn't start out that way. It just started out as one store. And I think, when we first started out, everything was very ad hoc,
Hmm.
right? There was all these ambitions of things that we wanted to do and tasks associated with meeting those goals, and everything was very ad hoc. We're a family business, so it's me, my business partner, his sister, now his brother, who has joined the team, and we were literally just texting each other, and there was just hundreds of texts going through, and some of it was just like banter about random stuff mixed with business. And as the business grew and started to evolve, it got way too crazy. It's impossible to, kind of manage everything you need to get done with all the support stuff that comes
Hmm.
up just through a text string. So we definitely needed to get more organized.
You mentioned like the roles changing a bit. So, what would you say your role is currently in the business, and what does your typical workday look like because of that?
Sure. Yeah. So I was always more on kind of the product development side.
Hmm.
So DeVineBoston.com is more of a marketplace that has a lot of different brands. But when we started out, we were definitely, mostly the Divine brand, and we needed to develop, a line of SKUs that we thought kind of aligned with what Divine Wellness is as a brand. And I was a lot on that product formulation side. What are the raw ingredients? Where is this getting produced? What vessel is the product going into? Is it going into a pump bottle? Is it going into a bag of gummies? So, I still definitely am on that side a little bit. Obviously, at this point, our catalog is sort of developed. I'm still on the side of managing the production runs,
Hmm.
making sure that we have the correct inventory, making sure we have the raw materials to, uh, you know, to produce those SKUs.
Hmm.
And I'm also responsible for managing our warehouse and anything that comes out of there. Um, and obviously, since the retail stores are a big part of it too, I do pay attention to, different reports. We use Shopify on,
Hmm.
what products are selling well,
Yeah.
to sort of be strategic in, what we're bringing in at what point in the month, because, cash flow is really important for businesses that are growing. So being able to kind of manage the budget and all like the money coming in and out
Hmm.
is something that you need to pay close attention to to grow.
Yeah. So I would say, as someone who watches you work, I think a lot of your day to day is spent lots of emails, texting still. You guys still communicate a lot throughout the day and various text change, um, phone calls, things like that. I know you go to the warehouse a couple of days a week too to like manage all of that. You mentioned something about still have your hand in like other aspects, but you can't do everything. Like solopreneurs that we talk to, we always tell them, you can't do everything. You have to delegate. You have to, find a way to not spread yourself so thin and find like what you're really good at and do that well, and then ask for help as it's needed. So as you guys have grown, that's kind of happened naturally. I think what would you say as a business owner, a business partner, a team leader, what are some of your strengths that kind of come naturally to you and make, doing everything that you have to do easy? And then what are some of the struggles? Like what, even now in your 7 years of experience, like what still feels kind of chaotic to you? And if that's too abstract of a question, you can think of things like, planning your day, organizing your documents, delegating things, being flexible when a fire comes up, things like that. What's easy to you and what's still kind of challenging?
Definitely. I think as far as like what comes easy to me is looking at the macro of all the things that need to get done to move the ball forward and deciding which of those things are best suited for me to do and which need to be delegated out to somebody that is, better at that or could help me get it done so that I could focus my time on, whatever is either more fun for me or I just think that I should be responsible for.
Mhm.
So I think the management side and also enabling people to be more successful in their jobs is something that I like doing. And because I like doing it, it comes a little bit easier for me.
Yeah.
The parts that I think I struggle with is as a business owner, and I actually talk to your dad a lot about this.
My dad is also a business owner.
You want to do everything yourself because you think that if you don't do it, then it's not going to get done correctly. And to some extent, that is true. And that's where, hiring or, fostering the right team around you is so important. But at the end of the day, you can't do everything. You're going to get way too stressed out
Mhm.
and you're going to make mistakes, and it's just not sustainable, especially if you want to have a life and you have a family and kids and whatnot. The part that's hard for me, but it's necessary is because I said it's easy for me, but the delegation is easy and it's also hard in that sense that you have to let go of the things you might want to participate in, but you just have to trust that whoever you're assigning those duties to that they're going to do a good job, and a lot of times they do a great job because they're on that task. They don't have a million things going on in their head.
Mhm.
And ultimately to grow you need a team. The more
Mhm.
people you have around you working on the same goal or different
Mhm.
goals, it's always better than trying to do things yourself. So I think that's one thing that
Mhm.
every entrepreneur probably struggles with, because I feel like we're like a little bit of perfectionists in that we have this vision of this
Mhm.
thing that we're creating. And if one little thing is off about that vision, then like our OCD kicks in. But at the end of the day, you just have to let go and just let things kind of flow.
You and I have very different brains when it comes to organization and planning, I will say. And that's okay. That's the beauty of everything that we do at making the great MTG frameworks is that everybody works differently and that's wonderful and that's fine and that just it means that you need to find what helps you function best and go with it. And the same habits and systems that work for one person aren't going to work for another. You are someone who keeps a lot of stuff in your head, and that works sometimes, but also I think it does stress you out sometimes. And so I can't do that. I have to always write things down and I have to get them out of my brain and onto a paper or onto an app. Something that I suggested to you was to try out Trello, which is my favorite app when it comes to organization, so that you and your team could kind of have a common space to see, different procedures and, logins, passwords, when you were opening your new store, like all the components of that.
Totally.
You did eventually take me up on it to just try it. Two-part question. What was your resistance to trying it at first? Because I definitely recommended it a lot. And what made you finally say, fine, I'll try it? And did you like it?
So you did recommend it a lot. I think my resistance is I was picturing it to be a little bit different than what it ended up being. And what it ended up being was a lot easier to use than what I expected. Now, I didn't expect it to be difficult, but I did think there was going to be like a software learning curve where you're
Hmm.
managing all these workflows and stuff. And when you told me like it can be as simple as you want it to be or as complex as you want it to be, and I visually saw the platform, it just made sense to me.
Hmm.
So yeah, my resistance was, the potential learning curve, and then also having used, tried to use like Skype and Slack and stuff like that with my team and noticing that we kind of kept like reverting back to text messages. I was like, is this really something that can stick for us, even partially or fully and help out in some way?
Hmm.
And it did. And it was great. And I think what eventually pushed me to do it is we were at a point in the business where, we're growing and things were getting crazy. And my business partner, the other co-founder, was going to go away for multiple weeks to get married overseas. And his sister, who is essentially our, admin, but also website person, yeah,
Chef.
back end stuff, graphic design, was super pregnant, and she was gonna have a baby,
Hmm.
which she's had a beautiful baby now. We were like, holy crap, what are we gonna do when she's gone, let alone you're gone for a few weeks too, and there's all these things we don't even know how to do.
Hmm.
Sorry, our
No,
dog is snoring and it's
I don't think anyone
slightly
can hear
distracting, but
this.
yeah, hopefully the microphone doesn't pick that up.
Cool. No, that's a really good answer. And I think two things came to mind. Like one, I think it's really cool that you tried it out. You know, when we are working with clients and teams, like we all always offer our suggestions. Hey, we think this could help you out. You know, give it a try. And there's often resistance to trying something new in anything in life. But sometimes you're surprised. Wow, this actually does simplify everything. I thought it might complicate everything, but actually it simplifies everything. So it's really cool when that happens. And sometimes it's the opposite, and you realize, no, that's not for me, but that's also information, and that's good to know too. And when you brought up, you know, one person getting married, one person having a baby, those are life circumstances, and there's always going to be things that come up, stuff that we're planning for, stuff that we're not planning for that comes up. And so a big thing we work with people on is, depending on the season of life that you're in, you might need more tools to help you. You might need less. You might need to delegate more. You might need to delegate less. So, a big piece of executive function is constantly reflecting, okay, what's working, what's not working, what has changed in my life, personally, professionally, and how do I need to take that information and help me shift what I'm doing right now or help my team shift. So, um, sounds like that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, definitely. And the way I would describe Trello to anyone is basically think about being in a room and you
Mm,
have, a couple different or three different whiteboards and you can stick these like digital post-its on,
mhm.
right? And then on the post-it can have a name on it, like, you know, email, passwords. And then underneath that, you can write.
All the emails.
Yeah, you can write
Yeah.
all your passwords so that you never have to look for them again and reset your password on everything.
Yeah.
When we were, looking to open multiple locations and we had people leaving and there's just a lot of moving parts, it was just one place where we could put everything so that, if a new person came into the business the next
Right.
day and they didn't know how to do anything, you could just tell them, look at Trello, look at the Boston board or look at the Worcester board, and that'll have directions for you on how to do this or how to access that.
Mhm.
You could basically, hopefully, be able to step away and that person would be able to figure out. So,
Right. No, that's great. We're not sponsored by Trello, but that's a great explanation. And Trello, if you see this, you can sponsor us. That brings me to my next question, which is what would you say are, one, two, three, whatever, a couple habits and systems that you feel like make your life as a business owner much more simple? Could be Trello, it could be a personal habit that you have, it could be another business tool you use, just a couple that really help you out day to day.
totally. I've recently started just using my iPhone notes to write down like to-do lists because, naturally you're getting ready for bed. Sometimes you're thinking of all the things you have to do the next day. I think mentally it helps to put them on paper or on a notepad so that you have a clear
Mm-hmm.
action plan for the next day, and that kind of helps you woosah and go to bed. And when you
Yeah.
wake up, you have that list, you easily know what is top priority and what can maybe wait till the end of the day or get pushed into the next day.
Yeah.
So just doing like a brain dump on paper on the things that need to get done
Yeah.
makes you kind of feel like they're already halfway done.
Yeah.
Um,
Closes the loop a little bit so you're not like replaying it as much when
for
you're going to
sure.
bed, especially.
Totally. You have like a business partner, like doing like a daily or a weekly catch-up call and having that list
Mm-hmm.
to go through and then potentially be like, hey, you do these tasks, I'll do these. I feel like without that, a lot of times you end up getting on the phone and it's like, what else? What do we need to do? Yeah, this thing, let's look at this. And then what else is there? And then you end up getting off the phone and you forgot to like talk about two things.
Yeah.
So just putting things on paper, I think is good for not only business, but
Yeah.
any aspect of life.
Totally. Yeah. What about any like personal habits that you have that just make you feel better as a human, which in turn helps your business?
Yeah, being active and being outside. Obviously, I get some of that through walking Kona and our daughter loving to be outside
Mm-hmm.
and just exercise. I like to go to the gym at least a few times a week. I feel kind of boosts those natural dopamine and serotonin levels and just kind of gets the brain juices flowing and you just
Mm-hmm.
feel better. I
Yeah.
feel like for me, the gym is like 50% physical and 50% mental.
Yeah.
Um,
That brings me to my next question. You brought up our daughter. How would you say being a business owner, what have you had to shift in your life as a business owner since becoming a dad?
Totally. My wife is a great mom.
Thank you.
She's really good with our daughter, and I'm lucky that she stays home with her and gets to spend so much time with her. And I wouldn't want anybody else with her other than you, except for when eventually we have to send her to school and allow her to socialize with the rest of the world. But for now, she can stay in
I
her,
help her. She socializes with me. Don't worry.
yeah, stay in our little
Yeah,
bubble.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, I always want to be with her. So
Did your priorities have to shift at all when it comes to like what you're doing day to day or?
yeah, I mean, once you have a kid, you have to time block a lot more. And you do most of that time blocking for me, which is helpful and
Mhm.
great. But, your baby needs you and you want to spend time with them. They're only going to be so little and cute for so long. And those moments are fleeting. So you want to find a balance of, you know, getting your work done and also being a family man. So,
It's not easy, is it?
no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a little hectic for sure,
Yeah.
especially because we're, choosing to
Hmm.
have her be with us as much as possible right now.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that we get to do that, that we have, flexible enough schedules to be able to do that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it's tricky and sometimes it can get a little stressful.
Yeah, I can.
Does that kind of answer the
Yeah, I know
question
that
there?
that answers the question perfectly. All right, a couple more questions for you. But this is fun. When we started out chatting, I kind of felt like we were like on our first date or something. And I'm like, tell me about yourself. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, this is a question we ask everyone. You hear all the time like productivity hacks and like this and that. So we like to ask people like, what's like a hack that you have that is like not super like fancy or like, anything you'd want to be like sharing online, like everybody, you got to do this,
Hmm.
but just something that works for you. Like some people say like, I like to like I shower at night because I just know that like in the morning I don't have time because I'm rushing around doing a million things. So showering at night is like my thing and that just like makes my life so much easier.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that that comes to mind for you that is just like a hack that makes your life easier that might not work for anybody else, but it just makes you feel good?
Yeah. I think, when you feel good, that's when you get like your best work done.
Hmm.
I think taking a little bit of time in the morning and not like rushing into work stuff. And I don't always do this like because naturally like I just want to check things off of my list. So sometimes I will like grab a coffee and open my computer. And, sometimes it does feel good to get a couple emails out of the way and you feel
Hmm.
like you're like ahead on the day. But really, like, if you are able to take a little bit of time for yourself in the morning
Hmm.
and do whatever it is, do a workout, take a shower and just feel like refreshed, make breakfast, spend a little time playing on the floor with Azalea. I feel like, taking that time for yourself or for your family, I feel like you're taking like the right step to start the day, for me at least. And it allows me to kind of naturally transition into work stuff.
Slow down to speed up. That's what they
Slow down,
say.
speed up. Yeah.
Take the time to actually
Yeah.
recharge and like feel good.
Yeah, and take
Everything
take
is,
care of yourself.
yeah,
Drink some water before you drink your coffee, like they
yeah,
say, and
yeah.
whatever. Do a little exercise, even if it's like 15 minutes, and
Hmm.
really help put your mind in the right place.
Yeah, I love that. If someone's listening to this episode, whether they're an entrepreneur or maybe they lead a team like you, or maybe they're an employee and they're feeling burnt out, what advice would you give to someone, just a working professional who's listening to this, who's feeling overwhelmed and maybe they're a new parent, or maybe they're just going through something, or maybe they just have a big workload? What's some words of wisdom you could offer?
Well, I mean, again,
Piggyback off that,
yeah,
yeah.
the self-care, because, you have to feel good to do good work and feel good about your work. You know, clean up, put on an outfit that you like. Going to the gym, I think, is huge, and that means different things for different people. Like some people might just want to stretch and move their body. Somebody might want to go for a run. Somebody
Yeah,
might
get
want to,
outside, even if it's not the gym. Get
yeah,
outside, yeah.
get some sun, get some fresh air. Try
Yeah.
not to eat foods that you know are gonna make you tired. Like there's
Mm,
certain things that, you know, we all have different bodies. We all kind of know the foods that are gonna bog us down versus something that are gonna
yeah,
energize us. Hate to say it, but like diet and exercise do have an impact on how your brain
for sure.
functions.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
not to sound cliche, but diet, exercise,
yeah,
self-care,
yeah,
whatever that looks like for you. A little time for yourself if you have it. Wake up 15 minutes earlier
yeah,
you know, to get a little woo-saw time to get your mind right before you step into the day.
yeah. All good advice. Well, thanks for being here tonight. I think you're a really good example of it's okay to change. It's okay to try new things. You tried a couple of different careers, wasn't for you. You started one business, decided that wasn't, going to be the long haul for you, passed it on, started something new. We talk all the time, obviously. Always have more business ideas. And you've also been like, sometimes I'd like to go back and work for someone else. That could be cool. So you're just a really good example of it's never too late to start something new. It's never too late to change your mind, to start a new habit, I don't know, to depending on the season of life you're in, it's good to switch things up and pivot and, you know, I don't know, you're a good example of that. So I think
Appreciate
people
that.
can learn a lot from you. And where can people find you if they want to maybe connect with you either to learn more about your store or just to learn from you?
Sure. Yeah, my email is sergey@trydevine.com.
Hmm.
That's the work email. Yeah, my
Perfect.
Instagram is s_Kupe, Kupe.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out. Happy to help out,
Yeah.
answer any questions, add value. Definitely feels good to make other people feel good and help them
Mhm.
succeed. So any way I can do that, I'm
Yeah.
happy to do so.
Cool. Thanks for being here, Sergey. How was your first podcast experience?
Not too bad, honestly. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I was a little nervous, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll do another one someday.
Cool. Sounds good.
Maybe I'll have my own podcast. Who
Hey,
knows?
maybe you should. You should start a podcast. All right. Well, thank you. And thanks everyone for listening.